The navigation system died 3 minutes before Rowan could dock properly. She felt the familiar lurch in her stomach as her ship, Silver Current, lost alignment with the station's magnetic field. Her fingers flew across the console, running diagnostics that only confirmed what she already knew: the quantum processor had overloaded, and there was no way she could reach the nearest repair facility on her own. "Come on, girl," she whispered to the ship, knowing it was pointless, but doing it anyway. She'd been flying solo for 5 years. Sometimes talking to the Silver Current was the closest thing she had to conversation. Through the viewport, the space station grew larger. It was smaller than she expected, a delicate-looking structure of curved metal and transparent aluminum, orbiting a planet that seemed to glow with faint purple light. The station's name was Botanical 7, which meant absolutely nothing to her until she submitted her distress signal and saw the response: cleared to dock. "Welcome to the Sanctuary Station." Sanctuary? Rowan almost laughed. She was the last person who needed sanctuary. The docking procedure was manual and required every ounce of her piloting skill. But she managed it. The Silver Current settled into the bay with a gentle shudder, and Rowan let herself breathe. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical braid, and she pulled it tighter now, a nervous habit. She grabbed her jacket, worn from years of travel between worlds, and headed to the airlock. The station smelled like earth and rain, which was so unexpected that she stopped just inside the entrance. Rowan had traveled to 17 planets and 6 space stations, and nothing ever smelled like earth and rain. Her boots clicked against the metal grating as she moved forward. A figure emerged from the deeper corridors. The alien was unlike anything Rowan had imagined. She had seen many species: the crystalline Venetians, the insectoid Zithric, the aquatic Menodox, but this being seemed to be composed of gentle contradiction. She was humanoid in form, perhaps Rowan's height, but her skin held an opalescent quality that shifted between silver and violet with her movements. Her hair was the color of deep water, and it moved like it floated in some subtle current. But it was her eyes that stopped Rowan completely. They were vast and full of something that might have been kindness, or might have been ancient sorrow. "Welcome to Botanical 7, the alien said, and her voice was like listening to wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I am Vela. I oversee the gardens here, Rowan." Rowan paused, suddenly uncertain how to introduce herself. "I'm a pilot. My ship's processor fried, and I needed to put down somewhere." Vela's luminescent face brightened with something like curiosity. "A pilot? You journey between stars?" "For work, mostly," Rowan found herself explaining before she'd decided to. "I transport cargo medicine technology, sometimes seeds for agricultural colonies. I don't usually have time to get to know stations. I just dock, refuel, and leave." "Then perhaps," Vela said carefully, as if choosing each word with tremendous thought, "you would like to see something before you leave us?" It was a strange offer from a stranger, but Rowan was stranded for at least 2 weeks. Quesh, the engineer, had already sent her a preliminary assessment, so she found herself nodding. Vela led her deeper into the station, away from the main corridors. They passed through a series of sealed doors, and with each one they passed through, the air changed. It became warmer, more humid, filled with scents that Rowan's brain struggled to categorize. And then the final door opened, and Rowan stepped into an impossible place. The gardens stretched out. Before her, in a vast biodome that seemed to extend far further than the station's physical dimensions should have allowed, the architecture must have been deceptive. Trees of silver bark twisted toward artificial suns that mimicked starlight in a dozen different spectrums. Flowers bloomed in colors that seemed to come from other dimensions: crystalline blues and metallic golds, gentle purples that matched Vela's skin, and everywhere, there was life and movement and growth. "This is," Rowan started, then stopped. There weren't words. "This is what remains," Vela said softly. She walked among the plants with the ease of someone who had crossed this ground thousands of times. 72,143 plant species, the last specimens from 319 extinct civilizations. "I brought seeds here before the war. Before the collapse, before those worlds died." Rowan found herself following her, drawn into the garden like it was a living thing calling to her. She reached out to touch the flower. Vela stopped beside petals that shimmered like liquid crystal. "The Threnix grew these," Vila said. They lived 40,000 years ago on a moon that orbited a star that went supernova. I have the last seeds. If I do my work correctly, if I cultivate them properly in the right environment, perhaps someday their world could know flowers again. Not the same world, but somewhere, someone could know what they knew. Rowan looked at Vela, at the luminescent alien woman who stood surrounded by impossible light and impossible hope, and felt something shift inside her chest. It felt dangerous and necessary at the same time. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, Rowan said, and meant it with a fierce certainty that surprised her. Vila turned to look at her, and in the artificial starlight of the gardens, her eyes were fathomless and kind. Then perhaps, Vela said gently, you would stay a few more days? I have so many species to show you. So many stories to tell. Rohan, who had never stayed anywhere longer than her maintenance schedule required, who had built her entire life around never being tied to one place, found herself smiling. I think I would like that very much, she said, and when Vila reached out and took her hand, her skin warm and faintly luminous, Rowan realized that her ship repairs might take longer than 2 weeks, and she found she didn't mind at all. The days bled into weeks, and Rowan found herself becoming part of Botanical 7 in ways she never anticipated. Her ship remained in the docking bay, and Kesh, the gruff station engineer with silver-streaked hair and calloused hands, had stopped pretending the repairs were progressing. When Rowan finally asked him directly if he was deliberately stalling the work, he'd only grinned and said, Captain, the repairs will be done when they're done. No rush. Yeah. She'd known he was lying, but she didn't mind. Vela had become her entire world. Every morning, Rowan would wake in the small quarters she'd been assigned and find Vila, waiting with tea that tasted like starlight and memories. They would spend the days in the main gardens, but increasingly, Vela began taking her deeper into the station. There were sections that weren't on any official map, doors that required Vila's personal biometric codes to open. These are restricted, Vila explained as they descended a maintenance corridor one evening. The air here was cool and smelled of stone. The station administration doesn't know all of what I keep here. They think this is just storage. Is it dangerous? Rowan asked, though she found she didn't really care. If Vela was doing it, she trusted it. Only if you believe knowledge is dangerous, Vela said softly. The archive chamber was underground, buried deep within the station's foundations. It was vast and pristine, with walls of white synth metal and rows upon rows of preservation chambers. Each one contained carefully maintained seed banks, genetic material from 1,000 worlds. The temperature was perfect, the humidity exact, the lighting calibrated to support dormant life for centuries. My God, Rowan whispered, understanding immediately what this was. This is a backup. If the surface gardens failed when, Vila corrected gently, if the war comes here, if the collapse continues, these seeds might be all that remains of those species. Thousands of worlds, billions of lives, reduced to genetic code in a chamber beneath a space station. Rowan turned to look at her, and in the pale light, Vila's luminescence seemed dimmer, weighted with the burden of what she carried. How long have you been maintaining this alone? Rowan asked. Since before you were born, probably, Vela said. I'm older than I appear. My species ages differently. I've been preserving these for quite a long time. There was a story there Rowan could tell. Something vast and sorrowful lived behind Vila's beautiful eyes. But before she could ask, Vila continued walking deeper into the chamber, and Rowan followed. At the very center of the archive was a single preservation pod, larger than the others, more ornate. Symbols were etched into its surface writing in a language that looked almost alive, the characters seeming to shift when Rowan wasn't looking directly at them. This one, Vela said, and her voice had changed to something almost reverent, contained seeds from the world where the progenitors lived. Do you know about the progenitors? Rowan shook her head. They were a civilization that existed millions of years ago. They built things that we still don't understand. Technology, architecture, art, they shaped the galaxy before they vanished. No one knows what happened to them. Some say they transcended. Some say they destroyed themselves. But before they disappeared, they created something. A technology that could unlock their vaults, access their knowledge. Vila placed her hand on the preservation pod, and it glowed softly in response. For centuries, every faction in the galaxy has been searching for it. Wars have been fought. Worlds have been destroyed. All looking for a key to open what the progenitors left behind. "Why are you telling me this?" Rowan asked, though part of her already knew. Part of her had known since Vela took her hand in the garden, because Vela said, turning to face her, "I'm telling you my secrets now. All of them. I'm letting you know who I really am. Not just a botanist preserving plants, but someone carrying the weight of extinction and knowledge that could change everything." Rowan crossed the space between them and took Vila's hands. They were warm and slightly luminous, and when their skin touched, Rowan felt a subtle vibration. It's like two frequencies finally aligning. "I don't care about any of that," Rowan said. "I care about you." Vila's eyes widened. "You don't understand. If anyone found out about this archive, about what I'm protecting, then we'll make sure they don't," Rowan said fiercely. "Vila, I've spent 5 years running because I was afraid to stay anywhere, afraid to want anything that would tie me down. But then you showed me a garden full of dead worlds, and you made me believe that something beautiful could come from extinction. You made me believe that preservation matters, that love matters." "Love?" Vela whispered, and her whole body seemed to glow brighter. "I'm in love with you," Rowan said simply. "I think I have been since you took my hand under the artificial stars." Vela pulled her closer, and when they kissed, it was like two different spectrums of light finally merging into something new and whole. Rowan could taste her flavors like electricity and flowers, and something ancient and sweet. Vila's arms wrapped around her, and her luminescence intensified until they were surrounded by soft violet light. When they finally pulled apart, both breathless, Vila rested her forehead against Rowan's. "This is dangerous," Vila said. "Not just the archive. Us. A human and an alien." "If the authorities found out, let them," Rowan said. "Let them find out. I don't care anymore." "Your life," Vela said. "Your freedom." "Your career means nothing compared to this moment," Rowan finished. "I'm staying, Vela. Even if Kesh finishes the repairs tomorrow, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here with you in this secret archive under the stars." Vila's eyes filled with tears that glowed softly in the chamber's light. "Can't," she whispered, but she was holding Rowan tighter. "You have to go. You have to live your life." "This is my life," Rowan said fiercely. "You are my life." In the basement archive of Botanical 7, surrounded by the last seeds of extinct worlds, two beings from different stars made a promise to each other, not with words, but with touch and light and the kind of understanding that transcends species and biology. For the first time in her life, Rowan had found a place she wanted to stay, and for the first time in her eternal years of preservation and loneliness, Vela had found someone who didn't want to use her or the knowledge she carried, someone who simply wanted her. The seeds around them glowed softly, as if in blessing.